An illegal military attack on a sovereign nation, an open desire to take over territory of a democratic ally, the persistent rhetoric threatening to treat the world's longest peaceful border as a hostile frontier. Venezuela, Greenland, Canada, those are not isolated crises. They are connecting points on a new map of American foreign policy. A doctrine that views alliances as burdens, sovereignty as negotiable, and resources as the ultimate prize. And while the immediate pressure is applied in the Western Hemisphere, the ultimate target of this destabilization is the entire architecture of the European and North Atlantic security. Today, we decode this three-front pattern. First, the assault on sovereignty. We connect the dots between the attack on Venezuela, the coercion of Denmark over Greenland, and the direct threat against Canadian independence. Second, the Canadian ordeal. We examine why America's largest traditional partner and NATO ally is now in its crosshair, and what the moronic 51st state rhetoric truly means. And third, the collapse of trust. We analyze how this triad of aggression creates an existential crisis for NATO, forcing Europe to confront a terrifying reality that NATO's leader has become its largest resource of instability. The pattern is clear, and the escalation is logical. It begins with Venezuela, a violent, illegal intervention justified by fabricated pretexts, and the true motive? Resource control. It establishes the precedent. Your sovereignty is irrelevant if you have what I want. And by the way, just as I script this video on Monday morning, January 5th, 2026, the UN Security Council holds an emergency meeting on the Venezuela crisis. I will have a video coming up on that very emergency meeting very soon. Keep your eyes peeled, or better, click the like button and subscribe so you won't miss it. The Venezuela crisis extends to Greenland. Here, the orange gangsters' territorial ambitions are blatantly obvious. Trump's demand is not hidden behind false narratives or liberation, but framed as a real estate transaction. The target is strategic, critical minerals and Arctic dominance. Denmark's firm no is met not with respect, but with implicit, repeated threats towards a smaller ally depending on the aggressor's security guarantee. And it concludes, for now, with Canada. This is the most profound escalation yet. The target is no longer a distant, troubled state or remote territory. It is a G7 nation, the number one trading partner, a founding NATO member. The threats are multifaceted. Economic tariffs, ridiculous claims of national security risks from the northern border, and the persistent, corrosive rhetoric from figures close to the US power that frames Canada's very existence as an inconvenience, a 51st state invading. The message to Ottawa is the same as to Caracas and Copenhagen. Your destiny is not your own to determine. The threat to Canada is the clearest signal of all. It proves that no relationship is blessed, no history is immune. For Europe, watching the treatment of Canada is like looking into a dark mirror. If the US is willing to weaponize trade, threatens security cooperation, and undermine the sovereignty of its most integrated partner, a country woven into its own industrial base, then what possible assurance does any European ally have? Canada's reaction is a live case study in sovereign resilience. It is a combination of public pushback, economic diversification, and a quiet but rapid strengthening of our alliances. It is the realization that the old playbook of quiet diplomacy is obsolete. When confronted with a strategy of coercion, the only answer is a strategy of determined independence. Canada is not being threatened because it's weak. It is being threatened because it's wealthy, stable, and resource-rich. Its very success makes it a target under the new doctrine of extraction by the convicted felon and serial bankruptcy Donald Trump. For European capitals, the lesson is immediate. Your stability and resources do not protect you. They only make you more desirable targets. This is where the crisis reaches its tipping point for Europe. The simultaneous pressure on Greenland, Denmark, and Canada is not a coincidence. It is a deliberate stress test of the alliance framework. NATO's foundation is Article 5, the promise of collective defense, but its lifeblood is Article 1, mutual trust. It is the commitment by member countries to peacefully resolve international disputes, adhering to the UN Charter and refraining from threats or force in international relations, and definitely against other NATO member countries. But the orange fascist gangster and convicted felon doesn't care. But what happens when the nations responsible for the lion's share of the alliance power is the very same that is openly threatening the sovereignty of other member states? Then the promise is broken, has become irrelevant. The European Union, cautious, unified support for Denmark and its watchful eye on Canada reveals the beginning realization. The primary threat to European sovereignty and security now arises from within the alliance structure itself. Friends, in my opinion, the logical, inevitable outcome is not necessarily a reformed NATO, but an accelerated, urgent push for European strategic autonomy. An EU-Canada bloc. That would mean better integrated Europe-Canadian defense capabilities, sovereign secured supply chains for critical minerals, and foreign policies built on European-Canadian interests, not on the hope American restraint. Events in the Arctic and North America are not a distraction from European-Canadian security, but the final, undeniable argument for achieving it. The pattern is set now. Venezuela was the proof of concept. Greenland is the territorial ambition. And Canada is the warning that no ally is safe. For Canada and Europe, the ultimate question is now unavoidable. How to salvage the valuable NATO alliance whose leader has gone rogue and actively threatening its members. So, that is my ultimate question for you. How do you feel about it, that the leader of NATO is actively threatening member countries? Isn't that totally inconceivable? What is the path forward here? To see your opinion is so darn important to all of us. If you want to keep track of this new global threat, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Europe Curious for more deep dives just like this one. Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lemkuller from Europe Curious.